Hello, everybody. If you're on live with us, please hashtag live. If you're on replay, hashtag replay. Also, like and comment just to help all of those ladies who wanted to show up for this training get the notification. Thank you guys so much for being here this Tuesday. I know it's felt like a crazy week to me, but I had a really good weekend, so it makes it easier. But really excited to share with you guys our monthly training that we're doing. Remember, every month we will be doing full out trainings every third Tuesday of the month. So that way you guys can plan for that. And then every other Tuesday will be Q&A sessions. Those sessions usually last between 10 to 15 minutes, depending on if you're on and if you have any marketing questions. But I do try to, make sure that we're bringing as much value as we possibly can to you guys, especially within fourth quarter as it's busy season for everyone. But today I want to talk about getting the biggest marketing bang for your buck. Those of you who are on right now, or those of you who watch the replay, let me know kind of where you stand on how you feel about your marketing efforts. Do you feel good about them? Do you struggle with them? Is it something that you enjoy? Is it something you hate? Let me know in the comments, because I feel there's a lot of different feelings and stigmas that we have around our marketing for our business. And if you're anything like me, it's really easy to do stuff for other people. Obviously this is my career choice, so it's really easy for me to tell you all these techniques and tips, but it gets really hard when you're doing it for your own business. So today I'm going to try my darndest to make sure that I kind of space it out for you guys on how I do this, one for our clients, but also for ourselves as a business as a whole. Because it's really 4 easy steps, all right, to make sure that the marketing that you are creating for your business is powerful, it's impactful, and it converts. And that's something that a lot of people struggle with their marketing, is they're missing one of these 4 things. And it's the reason that it doesn't take off the way that they want it to. It's the reason that they spend thousands of dollars and nothing happens. So we're going to talk about those 4 steps today and really make sure that we're helping you ladies implement all of these things within your business so that you feel way more comfortable and confident with what you're creating within your marketing. So, with that being said, if you guys have any questions, drop them below. Let me know. This is live, so this is your guys' time to utilize me and ask those questions. So, with that being said, what we're going to be talking about today is no matter whether you have a $0 budget for your marketing or 100K thousand for your marketing, right? This is what you need to do and how to approach everything that you're doing around your business marketing to make sure that it's getting you sales. Something that a lot of people forget about is, one, they don't see the importance of marketing because they think that your business is one, sales, like they think marketing and sales are combined, but then they think it has nothing to really do with your branding. It has nothing to do with what you're posting on social media. So they forget how essential marketing is to growing the business as a whole, but also the longevity of it. So think of online marketing and everything you're doing here, like website. This is for your long-term gain of your business, which means you need to make sure that you're doing it appropriately and successfully, or it could crumble, right? Things could happen and it could not be doing the stuff that you want it to do. You could have this really awesome, website, but on the back end, people can't buy stuff. People don't see your services, so they don't know what you do. So it's really not helping you in the long run, right? The goal here is that everything that you do in your marketing helps you in the long run and that you see the value of it, right? Sometimes the cost of online marketing may not seem essential right now, but if it were to grow, into, for example, a Facebook group that ends up giving you $50,000 of residual income every month, you'd be like, why didn't I start that sooner? That's something that I teach my clients on, and something that we work really hard for our clients about is marketing is not the sales, right? It's not the day-to-day. It's not closing people immediately like a sales call you're trying to do in a sales call, or what you're trying to do, with an advertisement, right? Online marketing and your website, what it's trying to do is it's trying to create this aesthetic of your business that people want to be a part of, right? They want this community around your business. And with that leads to big money, right? Because you're doing it properly. You're creating a community. You're creating solid relationships with people that then leads to sales and longevity of your business, right? So here are the 4 things That is what's going to make your marketing plan stand out, or your marketing strategy is probably your strategy. Just your marketing in general for your business, be successful. All right. The first thing that we're going to talk about today is strategy. That's number one. You need to have a marketing strategy in place to be able to do any of these things. And when I said a lot of people are missing one of these four things, right? A lot of people miss the actual strategy part, because number two, they get mixed up with number two. Number one is strategy. We need to have a strategy, and I'll dive into that deeper after I go through the four. Number two is planning. This is where a lot of people jump to, okay, over the strategy part. They just start planning what they're going to do, what content's going to be the best for their audience, what type of videos and graphics, and what type of copy. And that's where a lot of people go first, is that planning stage. When you miss number one, that strategy stage, what happens is you don't have a full understanding of why you're doing what you're doing. And that to me is really detrimental to your marketing, because you don't have any background proof of what's been working for your competitors, what's been working with other industries like yourself. You don't understand your audience. So how are you supposed to plan out content if you don't know who your audience is? A lot of us struggle with this because it's not discussed, right? They think that a strategy has to come from a strategist. And since I'm not a strategist, right? Like in your business, right? You probably think this, you're like, I'm not a marketing strategist, so I can't do that. That's false. All right. You can create a strategy for your business, and then you can plan out that strategy. That's number two, right? Planning out the content around the strategy that you've done lots of research on. Okay. You understand your audience. And then number three that we're going to be talking about today is execution. Okay. If we're not executing the strategy or the plan, nothing's happening. And that's something that a lot of us struggle with, is the execution. We maybe have the strategy and the plan, but we don't have the execution down pack because we don't have the time. Maybe we're not allotting, maybe we're over, zealous of what we think we can do with our marketing, which then again really defeats the purpose of a strategy and a plan to make sure that we can execute it. And that's something that we'll talk a little bit more about within this training as well, is how to execute properly and how to set yourself up for success when you're executing your plan and your strategy for your marketing. The next thing is four, and this is reviewing. Okay. If you don't review the things that you put into place, how are you ever supposed to know what's working? How are you ever supposed to know what to continue to grow off of and make sure that you're implementing properly if you don't review? This is actually probably the biggest one that a lot of people miss within, their marketing as an overall entity, is reviewing what's working and what's not working. So what happens is you get stuck within this momentum of, it's literally just like this hamster wheel, and nothing seems to be growing or getting bigger, but like you're maintaining. The goal here for your strategy is to always be improving, not just maintaining. And that's what this review part of your strategy helps you do. So let's get down to business. A lot of people like to say, and this is number one, we're going to be like, what is your strategy, right? Where do we start? What is your strategy? How do we make it better? A lot of the question is, Nicole, if I don't have any money, how do I create this strategy? And the thing is, if you don't have money, you have time. And if you have money, you have less time, right? That's usually the equation that turns out to. If you don't want to spend money on something, it means you're going to spend more time. And if you do want to spend money on something, it usually means you should be spending less time on that task, right? And so that's kind of what you have to weigh out as a business owner and an entrepreneur, especially when you are a current solopreneur right now. You need to weigh out your time. And a lot of people, what they make mistakes in, and the reason that their business become unprofitable, is because they don't even put a dollar amount on their time, right? Because they're like, well, I'm doing it. So right now, everything I'm doing is for free. I may not be doing everything, awesome or at an expert level, but I'm doing it. Once you put an evaluation on your time, you're going to start to realize, oh, I could afford some help here or doing these other things that would then make me more money and make it to where I'm more organized. I feel like I'm getting more done with my business. I'm accomplishing more in sales because I've gotten support and I've gotten help. That's something I really want you guys to look into right now, especially into fourth quarter, because this is the time that you're going to need it the most. Now, with number one, with your strategy, is creating a strategy off of what you have, right? Whether you can invest in somebody to help you or whether you're doing it yourself, here are the things that you need to do to create a marketing strategy. Okay. For one, you need to understand your audience. If you don't know who your audience is, if you don't know where they're at online, how are you supposed to market to them appropriately? You need to be doing some very deep, customer analytics, I call them, or customer reports on what's happening, who else are they buying from that's in your field, right? Do those type of competitor analyses. What is your competitor doing with your target audience? How are they seeing success? What does their strategy look like? If you don't have a strategy based around who your audience actually is, you're going to fail. And that's not to say that your audience doesn't evolve, right? It does. My audience used to be, probably coaches and more like solo entrepreneurs, I guess would be. Now my audience is more e-commerce based, more multi 6 and 7 figure business owners who have a whole team, right? So my customers or my clients have evolved, right, throughout my time as a business owner, and yours will too. That's something to understand. But you have to start somewhere. So who's doing it good in your industry that you can, not break the wheel, right? If it's not broken, we don't need to fix it. That's where you want to start with your strategy. Something that a lot of people forget about is really doing that deep analysis, though, on their customers. So I have to say, do that. And what do I mean by creating a strategy? What I mean is, what are you wanting to accomplish within your marketing? And where do you need to hit those people, right? Like, what's your strategy for email? What's your strategy for like all the platforms that you want to be on or where you found that your customers and clients are at, right? What strategy do you want? Are you wanting to post, 3 times a day because that seems to work best on this one platform? Are you needing to make sure you're sending out, at least one email a week because that seems to keep people engaged from the research that you're doing? A lot of it is based around research for your industry and for your customers slash clients, which is why a lot of people hire out people like me to do that for them, right? Because we know what to look for. We know what data points and maybe we've most likely worked in your industry before with another client. So we're able to kind of beeline on that a lot quicker than if you're a business owner who isn't a marketing expert yet, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. People do just like one off strategies all the time. I actually have one currently that's $333. That's an hour-long strategy session with you. And we really kind of break down what's been working, what hasn't been working, and build out a strategy for you that then you can go plan, implement, and then review, right? So really following that step by step that I'm talking through today. So something that also needs to be happening with your strategy, right, is you need to remember that it's not revolving around just conversions, it's revolving around relationships. Your strategy at this point isn't revolved around what's going to make you the most money yet, right? Because we don't know. We haven't planned it out, we haven't tested out different content. We don't know what's going to make you the most money. What strategy is there to use? We know what's going to make you the most relationships and connections so that you can communicate with your perfect audience in the best format possible, right? And, we're trying to put you up at the highest pedestal that we possibly can. Something that people forget though too is just because somebody may have a 100K marketing budget, it doesn't mean they're going to utilize it well. And money does not equal sales, right? Like relationships equal sales. And that's something that if you guys are on right now or you're watching the replay, I want you guys to like write down if you're taking notes is like relationships equal sales, money doesn't equal sales. And that's something that a lot of people they'll argue with me about because they're like, well, Nicole, you do paid advertising. And I'm like, I do. They're like, well, then how does that work? How are people spending money and making more money? The reason being is because they're actually making relationships with their ideal customers, right? Or their ideal audience. We're saying, hey, this is the product for you because of XYZ, and come follow us and come check out this awesome community that we have about our product, right? It really is based around relationships and community and being like, hey, we have a product that's going to solve your problem or make you happy, right? Those are kind of the two options. And with that, that's how the money equals sales. But it really is relationships equaling the sales. And hopefully that makes sense. If you're a service provider, this is something that you really need to like knock into your brain as much as possible. Because if you're not making true relationships, you're just hitting up everybody that comes into your space and thinking like, I need to make them a client. That's annoying. People aren't going to respond to you and you're going to have a really hard time because you're really not creating connections. you're cold pitching. So there's a really big difference between that. And I think people struggle with that because they'll come back to me and be like, Nicole, I'm doing all these things. I'm talking to people and like nothing's happening. And it's like if I were to go in and to review those conversations that you're trying to have with people, I probably straight up say, well, you're cold pitching them and it's kind of not, it's not fun for them. They're not thinking that you actually care, that you actually want to help them, that you don't just see them as dollar signs. And I think that's the hardest part of, creating this strategy around your marketing is how can we make sure that everything flows into where when people come into your space, they feel like they're making a relationship with you. So when you do reach out to them or they do say, hey, I need help, it's not like, oh, I'm just getting straight up pitched by this person, right? It's like, oh, I have a relationship with Nicole and I know she genuinely wants to help me. So that's our goal with your strategy, right? Is making those relationships and making sure we've done the research on where we need to be and how often we need to be there. Number two is once you have a strategy, right, to getting people into your space, creating a relationship with them, and then hopefully selling them in, you need to be planning out the content that will trigger action, okay? And will trigger the most action for your target audience. So, what do I mean by that? That means that the content that we are putting into our strategy, right, that we've made, we're planning it out, needs to be content that is going to allow for people to want to be more involved, right? So, what does that mean? It means that we need to be creating content that's teaching them something, that's adding value. Maybe it's sharing with them what they're struggling with and how they can get help with that struggle. Again, you can do this whether you're product or service based. We just don't really think about these key points a lot. And it's something that we're really good at doing for our clients because we have a whole, content calendar template. We have a whole strategy that's around that, right? We do onboarding calls with them. We have a whole form that they fill out to learn more about them. We have all of these things in place to help make sure that what we're creating for them works. We also have these different types of post content, right? That keeps our customers or their customers and their clients engaged because they don't feel like it's, rerun. Even though, by the way, that's not really a thing because how often people see your posts won't ever really be like, oh, she's just like rerunning that. That makes sense. Just how the algorithm works. So, finding content, again, this is really good to do competitor analysis is on what gets the most engagement, right? Like what's triggering their perfect audience to take some sort of action. And by this I mean like actual action, commenting, sharing posts, reaching out to you because they want to buy your product or they want to buy your service. That's the type of action we want to pay attention to. Likes, that's not really something that alludes that somebody's going to buy from you. It usually just means that it can be supportive or they liked your graphic. It doesn't mean that they're there to buy from you just yet, right? Comments, shares, and obviously engagement with you as the owner or your website with purchasing a product. That's the actions that we want to pay attention to. Here too is once you've written out your content, right? You've written out your content, you figured out the graphics and how you want everything to look, right? Your aesthetic. Kind of the next step of that, and this is a step that everybody that I know gets really caught up on, is the execution. Because what they've done in their planning space, they get really excited because they have this awesome strategy, right? And they're like, I'm making this plan, it's going to work great. But then they forget about their time or their money, right? Because execution is where it's at. You may see that your competitors are posting 3 times a day with really awesome content, but remember, they have a whole team that's helping them. So maybe that is really unrealistic for you to do. So you have to make sure that also in the planning section that you're looking at your time you can allot to all of this, okay? Because what you do in number 3 in the execution phase is you'll get overwhelmed, you'll feel defeated, you'll think all of these things that you're doing aren't going to work, and then bam, this is the issue that you have, right? You end up stopping your execution and then your marketing just goes kaput. Obviously, we've all been there, trust me. And it's something that we really have to look at in the planning section on what's most realistic for you. Can you hire out help to help you execute? Or do you have to do it yourself, which means you need to make sure that you're being as time conscious as possible. So when it comes to executing, right, you need to make sure that you are consistent with it. So what I try to do for like my clients or for training people how to do their full on marketing strategy this way is we make them time block. So they time block every month to create the ideas, right, to plan out their whole month. And then every week they pick a day where they batch out time for like 2 to 3 hours and they create that week's content, right? The copy, the graphics, and then they schedule it out. This has helped a lot of people, and it obviously helps us with our clients stay on track, but also make sure that we're executing things properly. When you have a day and an allotted time, now granted life is crazy and sometimes things change, but making sure that you're consistent with that even with changes is going to help you stay to it. Something that a lot of people forget is that to see any change, and this is also in our lives, you have to be doing it for over 1 month. So if you guys want to tweak things or you think something's not working, you can't tweak it and can't do anything until after 1 month has passed. That's something that I'll preach to the rooftops, something I have to talk to my clients about, because if we don't give it enough time to actually see if it's working, to actually see if people are noticing the difference, we're really not going to know what's working and what's not working. Okay. So time is key here when you're testing out different graphics, especially within the execution process. So give yourself that 30 days when you're trying something new. Maybe you are taking back how much you're posting, right? Because you've realized that you don't have the time for it. It stresses you out, and you're going to try this new plan of one time a day. It's going to be really great posts. And then I'm going to batch my weekly posts, once a week, right? Pick that time, pick that date. This may be probably the most beneficial thing that I've told people to do who are doing their own marketing is you don't have to do it all. It can be something that you take your time with and you grow into. I always say start small, because what that's going to do is it's going to make you very smart with your time, with your marketing, but it's also going to help you be more quality over quantity, right? Quality is always going to be the most important. It's the most important with relationships that you're making, right, with potential buyers. It's the most important thing with your content, and it's the most important thing with your business as a whole, that you are providing quality, right, products or quality services over quantity of those products and services. So once you've figured out execution, and once you've decided, okay, like I'm giving this a month and I'm figuring it out, the next thing you want to do is it's called the review step. And it's something that I have here. I say review often, which you can kind of choose how often you want to review content, review things. As obviously an ads manager, we review that content multiple times a week. But then we do a client review, right? They get a view of everything that's been going on for the week every week. So we review that once a week. But something we do for like our own content is kind of once a month. I recommend this for social media content. Once a month is really good. And then doing kind of an overall quarterly review on, okay, here's what we did with our marketing. How did that impact our overall numbers, right? Because it takes 1 month, give it 3 months, we're really going to see some sort of difference within our numbers. It's also a reason now why I do only 6-month contracts, because that amount of time that we can really utilize the data, really understand what our customers or our clients are telling us is kind of unbeatable, right? You can't beat that type of data to see success, and we need to be using it to grow. So I would say pick a day every month to review all the things that you've done for the month marketing wise, and then also look at overall numbers, right? Making sure that what you're doing and where you're spending your time is still makes sense. I've had a lot of people try to do this on their own, right? Get through it, and at the end of 1 month say, "Okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to pay somebody to do this," right? Because I'm not the expert yet. I know they'll be the expert at it and they'll help me with X, Y, and Z, and I'll have more time on my hands, right? To not worry about this, to actually work on things that are making me money, whether that's closing sales or making more products, etc., etc. So the reviewing process helps you in multiple ways. And like I said at the beginning of this training, it's usually where most of us fail, where we don't go back because I think some of us are afraid of what we're doing, or we don't want to critique, the things that we're putting out there. But because we're already so hard on ourselves as it is, I would say don't think of it as critiquing yourself and your content and your business. Think about it as, how can I help make my business better? When you have that point of view and that mindset, especially with everything with your marketing, it's really going to make this process not like you're pulling a tooth out. It's going to make it something that you're excited about. You're looking forward to, you're open to new changes and new things, because it's not just one way works, right? For all of my strategies, for all of my clients, each of them are different, right? They're in different spaces. We have different content for, different social spaces as well. So it's something that you really need to make sure that you're doing accurately, that you're taking the time to invest in, because marketing is probably one of the biggest things that the reason people's businesses fail is because they weren't marketing appropriately, right? It's sales and it's support. That's why people fail in their business. And what do you think sales is impacted by? Sales is literally impacted by marketing. So if you're not marketing properly, or you have no marketing out there, but you can sell like crazy, right? Your business is going to fail because nobody's coming to you that you can sell to. Now, let's say you're not good at sales, but you have really good marketing. You're probably going to get some sales, even though you're not that great at sales. Like, that's how powerful marketing is. So for me, you need to have both of these things kind of together, but essentially marketing's number one, because without it doing its thing, you're not going to get any sales. So that's pretty much my training for today. I know a lot of you guys are going to be on this replay, so please ask those questions. Please post them below. And please use these 4 steps when it comes to planning out a whole strategy. Thank you guys so much for being on today. Thank you all for watching the replay, and I will be here next Tuesday to answer any questions about your marketing endeavors. I know right now is busy season, so we're seeing less of you on live, but hopefully you're using your time wisely. And if you feel like you aren't, please reach out to me. We are here to help you. And I'm wishing you guys all the best. Have a great rest of your week and happy Tuesday. Bye, guys.